Hello there everybody, WhatCulture Wrestling's Adam Cleary here, and today is February the 23rd, 2019, which means it is precisely 4 years since the Give Divas a Chance hashtag. Now, in the present, we've just had the Elimination Chamber, and Bayley and Sasha lifting those women's tag team titles was an absolute triumph. Like, don't get me wrong, the match itself was okay at best, but the fact that that's where we are with women's wrestling in WWE is the biggest deal of all. But the road getting here was, dear God, it was wild. Okay, so let's go back to the very beginning of all this. February the 22nd, 2015, and with no Elimination Chamber to worry about, WWE presents Fastlane. And what do we get on Fastlane? We get company Chosen One Roman Reigns going over actual Chosen One Daniel Bryan, and Rusev beating Cena to set up a clean loss at WrestleMania. And that's it, a fat load of nothing else. But sandwiched in between that load of nothing else was a 5-minute match between Paige and Nikki Bella for the now defunct Divas Championship. What happened next over the following 48 hours has been lionized into company canon as some sort of flashpoint moment in a division that doesn't even exist by the same name anymore, but you would be forgiven for forgetting any of it actually happened. Just to contextualize all this very quickly for you, because I mean, WWE don't really pay too much attention to it. Nikki Bella was in the midst of a soon-to-be record-breaking reign with the Butterfly Belt, and her and Brie had got back together to basically run AJ Lee out of town. The pair then turned their attention to Paige, and the former NXT Women's Champion was completely outmatched by the pair of bullies as they used their extensive in-ring experience to dominate her on the, I'm joking of course, they just spray-tanned her and stole her clothes. I mean, don't get me wrong, back in 2015, Paige and her whole anti-diva gimmick was about as close as WWE got to any form of female empowerment, but when you look back on that particular segment where she gets her clothes nicked and she has to dress up as one of the Rosebuds to get around it, it's actually really grim. JBL's insight on the segment was that he thought she actually looked better dressed like this, and Jerry Lawler, who at the time, let's not forget, was not far removed from getting caught taking a really long look at her arse on TV, said she certainly didn't look bad. So just to put all that in, yeah, that's old dudes talking to other old dudes with another old dude in their ear, and all any of them are saying is that the 22-year-old's actually pretty hot when you dress her up as a child. Anyway, yes, back at Fastlane, and the pair actually wrestle a fairly generous for the era 5 minutes 34 match for the Divas Championship. Now, Michael Cole, give him his due, was at least trying to commentate, but JBL was just justifying all their heel tactics by saying they can do whatever they like because they're really hot. That's the level we were at. I mean, it was a million miles away from the bikini battles we were getting 10 years prior, but it was also not a masterpiece of in-ring work, and the fans in attendance didn't really care because, well, I mean, they get force-fed this patter on television every week. Why would they invest live? Nikki pulled the tights, retained her title, and just looking back on it now, this was definitely the beginning of the end for the Divas division. You suspect even WWE must have realized this at the time. Then, one night later, on Monday Night Raw, February the 23rd, 2015, 4 years to the day today, they follow that up with a tag team match that pits the Bella Twins against Paige and Emma, and that match lasts for 30 seconds. With post-match beatdown and entrances, the video on YouTube is 2 minutes 16 seconds with a 40-second ad at the end. That was the sum total of their women's output on a 3-hour show. February the 23rd, 2015 was not the day that women's wrestling changed. It wasn't even the day that the WWE Universe changed, but the ripple effect of that match was so real that the mutants running Vince McMahon's Twitter account were forced to address the hashtag on the very same day. His famous words, "We hear you, keep watching," sounded, well, not overly convincing at the time. After all, the company had just ignored AJ Lee's comments about equal pay and equal opportunities, but the fact was that the work being done elsewhere, like for example Ronda Rousey in UFC, made WWE's post-Attitude Era treatment of women look somehow more archaic than the days of stick-on handprint bikinis and women barking like dogs. Fast forward to Elimination Chamber 2019, and we've just had about 35 minutes of women wrestling main event level matches on that show, plus a further 10 minutes dedicated to the hottest segment of the entire night. Bayley and Sasha Banks winning the tag team titles was a huge show of respect for two of the four women involved in putting things where they are today. And as for the other two, Charlotte and Becky Lynch, they were involved in one of the hottest segments of the night. They put in star performances without even having to wrestle. Alongside them was Ronda Rousey, the MMA trailblazer who shot to mainstream fame and has used her status to elevate the division to the point where it could conceivably headline WrestleMania. Jim Ross did rather flippantly imply she was the only reason for this level of success, but he did also once accept the job of scouting athletic 10s for WWE's women's division. Like, with all due respect to JR, the guy's only really got his finger on a pulse when he's tightening the grip on himself during an image search. I love the guy, but that's a bad take. I mean, to hold that kind of opinion discounts the incomparable rise of the four horsewomen, the genuine improvement of Divas division holdovers like Nikki Bella, Naomi, and Natalya, the NXT talent development factory that is spitting out your Asukas, your Alexa Blisses, your Ember Moons, who have all arrived as ready-made stars, and well, even people like Carmella, the Riot Squad, Sonya Deville, Mandy Rose, who are all providing a genuinely interesting mid-card to go beneath it all. Then there's the Mae Young Classic flinging open doors to the best of the rest outside WWE's broadening auspices. New mothers like Brie Bella, Maurice, and Maria, who showed amazing physical and mental toughness in returning to the ring within months of giving birth. You've got an NXT UK Women's Champion as over as her male counterpart, the inclusion of female variations of every major in-house gimmick or pay-per-view spectacular, and most of all, the fact that Rousey herself would be the first to admit how lost she'd have been without the support and help of her colleagues. The road to equality, though, is still ongoing and far from complete. I mean, even Paige herself on the press tour for Fighting With My Family went to bat for WWE as an organization that is fixing these problems rather than being the one that caused them. I mean, that's her opinion, and as somebody on the inside, she is absolutely entitled to that, but in the aftermath of all this, Twitter user BVM Shield very handily shared a long list of anecdotes and asides from former women who were in the company, and they range from the unsavory, let's just say, to the downright ugly. I'll share that on Twitter after this video goes up, and you can decide for yourself whether or not it was WWE or the fans who were holding women back. Michelle McCool features quite heavily in all of that, as she did on WWE TV between 2006 and, I want to say, 2011, and the way she talks of the derision she faced from management towards her craft speaks of a rank arrogance they had towards the problem. We can at least now call it a problem, even if the company do just consider this all to be past tense, but we are at least past the point where the company are going to be worried about women overshadowing the men on television, or dressing up a comedy act to win a women's battle royal, or having one of the division's top stars crawl around on all four and bark like a dog as the sex slave of some horny billionaire. Hopefully. The 4 years since February 2015 have been genuinely revolutionary for women in WWE and would no doubt be celebrated as such did they not shine such a humiliating light on everything the company was doing with them before that. The company did quite patronizingly give divas a chance all those years ago, but in the process, they rebadged, rebranded, and completely rethought how they approach women's wrestling. The output since has been very potent creatively, but as gets pointed out as a criticism to all this, they haven't quite cracked it commercially yet. It's now down to WWE to not dwell on this fact. Like, let's not mess about. The women's revolution was a commercially guided public relations exercise designed to boost business, but real revolutions aren't about money. They're about change. Changing the habit of a lifetime and not worrying about middling ticket sales or ratings would be a good step forward for the company. Outright ignoring them altogether in the name of progress would be brilliant. I mean, after all, they're not bothered when their top guys cause people to walk out of pay-per-view main events or the fans hijack the finishes, so the least they can do here is persist with something far more worthwhile. There is still a long way to go with all of this, yes, and I've got no doubt whatsoever that the comments to this video will no doubt prove that better than I ever could, but the last 4 years have genuinely brought about change in the company, and if nothing else, WWE deserve massive credit for actually doing that. So there you go. Well done. As ever though, let us know what you make of all this in the comments below without making yourself look like a dick if possible. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. In the meantime though, thank you very much for watching. Have, of course, been Adam Cleary, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Hello WhatCulture, my name is Simon Miller, and today I have an announcement so big, so huge, it's gonna shatter the very foundations of your life to the point you may need to phone up a friend and say, I don't even know who I am anymore. I have just heard the news have you heard the news? I've heard you out there, I've seen you've been commenting, I've read your tweets, and I can now officially let you know that if you do enjoy Raw ups and downs, if you do enjoy SmackDown ups and downs, that now you'll be able to set your watches to them, you'll be able to make notes in your calendars, because we're gonna have an official time for when they're gonna go live. I know, massive. So Ups and Downs for Raw will go live at 2 p.m. GMT, that's British time every Tuesday, and they will go live at 2 p.m. GMT every Wednesday for SmackDown. So you don't have to be aimlessly walking around anymore going, what do? I wanna know what got up and what got down and what Seth Rollins did or what AJ Styles is up to. Now you know, 2 p.m. GMT Tuesday, 2 p.m. GMT Wednesdays, Ups and Downs coming at you in the face. I realize what I just said, retract that, keep moving on, and I hope to see you there soon. And I hope that we build an audience so big that if I ever wanted to march an army anywhere in the world, I could, and we'd call it the Ups and Downs Army, because I haven't come up with a better name.